Part 1. You will hear a man calling the city council to report a broken streetlight near his home. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning, City Maintenance Services. How can I help you?
Hello, I need to report a broken streetlight near my house.
Certainly, sir. I'll take some details. First, your full name, please.
Yes, it's David Nolan. That's Nolan.
Thank you. And could I have a contact number in case the repair team needs to confirm the location?
Sure, my mobile is 07842 1995563.
Got it. Now, can you give me the exact location of the streetlight?
It's on Oak Ridge Avenue, outside number 27. The lamp is right by the corner with Maple Street.
Okay. And what seems to be the issue?
The light keeps flickering, then goes completely dark. It's been like that for about a week, and it's getting worse.
That must be inconvenient. Do you know the nearest landmark?
Yes, it's across from City Pharmacy. That's how I usually describe it to visitors.
Perfect.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
Now, we are very careful about the citizens. Is it the only streetlight on that stretch, or are there others?
There are 2 others, but they work fine. Only this one has the problem.
Understood. Do you remember the lamppost number? It's usually painted on the side.
Yes, I checked yesterday evening. It's 18B.
Excellent. For safety, do you want us to prioritize it?
Please, it's quite dark at night, and there are often school children passing through in the evening.
I'll mark it as urgent. Just to confirm, are you the property owner at number 27?
No, I actually live at number 30, just 2 houses away.
Thanks for clarifying. Repairs are usually scheduled within 3 working days, but urgent cases are often fixed sooner.
That's good to hear. Should I stay at home to let the workers in?
No need. Since the lamp is on public property, they'll access it directly.
Okay. By the way, is there any charge for the repair?
No, it's fully covered by the council. You only need to report the issue, as you've done now.
That's a relief. Will I be informed once it's done?
Yes, you'll receive a text message once the job is completed. Could I just check the best time to send the team?
Anytime after 4 p.m. works best, because that's when traffic is lighter on our road.
Perfect. I've noted that. We'll update you as soon as the repair is carried out.
Great. Thanks so much for your help today.
You're very welcome. Goodbye, Mr. Nolan.
Goodbye.
That is the end of Part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 1. Part 2. You will hear a guide at a museum describing a new exhibition about the history of navigation. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen and answer questions 11 to 14.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Seabrook Maritime Museum. My name is Dr. Helen Crawford, and I'll be your guide for today's preview of our new exhibition, Finding the Way, A History of Navigation. I'll spend the next 10 minutes outlining the main displays and some practical details. The exhibition was developed because visitor surveys showed a real curiosity about how people traveled before modern technology. Many assumed the compass was the earliest tool, but in fact, navigators relied on the stars long before magnets came into play. Now, about the layout. The first gallery you'll see features large stone maps carved by Pacific Islanders. Don't confuse them with fishing records. They're actually diagrams of ocean currents. The second room holds medieval compasses, and the third displays astrolabes used by Arab astronomers. Together, they form a timeline showing how methods changed across cultures. A word about safety and preservation rules. Flash photography is not allowed because it damages pigments on the maps. Bags larger than a laptop must be checked into lockers at the entrance. Some people think water bottles are banned, but sealed ones are fine as long as they stay closed. Storage of personal belongings is simple. The lockers are located in the East Wing corridor, just opposite the cafe. They're coin-operated, but your coin is returned once you unlock the door. Please don't leave food inside, as we've had issues with pests in the past.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. (15 to 20).
In terms of interactive features, children can try a simulated star chart where they align constellations to find north. Adults may prefer the digital map table, which shows trade routes from Asia to Europe. Many visitors expect to see virtual reality headsets, but we decided against them because of hygiene concerns. Support materials are also available. Every visitor receives a guide leaflet, but if you want something more detailed, there's a free audio tour recorded by professional sailors. The audio lasts about 25 minutes, so it fits neatly with the exhibition's flow. How did we fund the project? The majority came from a maritime heritage grant, but a local shipping company also contributed. They specifically sponsored the compass section. Meanwhile, a regional university provided research on ancient maps. Practical details. The exhibition officially opens on the 12th of March and will run for 6 months. Tickets cost £8 for adults, while children under 12 are free. Seniors receive a concession at £5. Please note, admission does not include the permanent commercial gallery. That requires a separate ticket. Finally, for those traveling here, most people assume the nearest stop is the train station, but the museum is actually closer to the main bus terminal. From there, it's just a 5-minute walk. We hope this exhibition helps you appreciate the extraordinary skill of navigators before satellites existed. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer questions.
That is the end of Part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 2. Part 3. You will hear a discussion between a tutor and a student about improving essay writing skills. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 24.
So, tell me, why do you think your last essay scored lower than expected?
I think I summarized too much of the reading instead of making my own point.
That's one possibility. Another issue was structure. You had plenty of information, but your argument wasn't signposted clearly. Readers couldn't always tell when you were moving from description to analysis.
Oh, I thought transitions like firstly and finally were enough.
Not quite. Those are fine for lists, but an academic essay needs stronger linking phrases, such as "this suggests" or "by contrast." These guide the examiner to see your reasoning, not just the sequence.
Right. What about evidence? I use
Between quotation and paraphrase, and more importantly, after citing a source, you should explain its relevance. Simply inserting a line from an article doesn't prove your point.
Got it. And how about my introduction? I kept it short.
Short is fine, but it lacked a clear thesis. You need one sentence that states your position directly. Without it, the reader keeps asking, what exactly is she arguing?
That makes sense. But I'm still unsure what to fix first. I feel like all my weaknesses are mixed together.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 25 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 25 to 30.
Let's tackle them one by one. For instance, you often overdescribe the source material. I think you tend to go into too much detail. That leaves little space for your own analysis. Instead, keep the summary brief, then highlight why it matters.
Right. I tend to get carried away with the details of the reading.
Another issue is the poor paragraph flow. Sometimes you finish one idea and jump into the next without a clear link. Using phrases like "by contrast" or "this leads to" helps the reader follow your argument step by step.
So it's not just about grammar, but also the signals I give between points.
Exactly. And about quotations, the use is excessive. You included plenty, but leaned on them too heavily. Remember, quoting is useful, but it shouldn't replace your voice. Explain why the words you've chosen are important.
I see. Quotations would make the essay sound academic.
That's a common assumption. Finally, weak introductions. In your last essay, you began with general background, but never stated your position clearly. Even a single strong sentence at the very start showing your position would anchor the whole piece.
Stop risking your own money trading. Instead, discover how to access up to $1 million in trading capital without taking prop firm challenges. This isn't just another trading strategy. It's a complete system that's generated over $275,000 in verified prop firm payouts. Our proprietary trading system tracks institutional money movements using 6 powerful indicators, allowing you to position yourself with the smart money instead of against it. And the best part, you only need 1 hour per day to implement it. Set up your trades in advance.
So I need
Patience. The use is excessive. You included plenty, but leaned on them too heavily. Remember, quoting is useful, but it shouldn't replace your voice. Explain why the words you've chosen are important.
I see. I probably thought more quotations would make the essay sound academic.
That's a common assumption. Finally, weak introductions. In your last essay, you began with general background, but never stated your position clearly. Even a single strong sentence at the very start showing your position would anchor the whole piece.
So I need to work on analysis, flow, balance of quoting, and a clearer thesis in the introduction. And what about the conclusion?
The conclusion should not just restate the introduction. It must point forward, showing the implication of your argument, why it matters beyond the essay itself.
So more like this suggests a broader trend rather than, in conclusion, I've shown X.
Exactly. And one last thing, proofreading. Small grammar slips or spelling errors won't ruin an essay, but they distract the examiner and weaken the impression of accuracy.
That's really helpful. I'll focus on practicing these specific skills before my next submission.
That is the end of Part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 3. Part 4. You will hear a university lecture about the biological importance of body fat. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 35.
Beyond the essay itself.
So more like this suggests a broader trend rather than, in conclusion, I've shown X.
Exactly. And one last thing, proofreading. Small grammar slips or spelling errors won't ruin an essay, but they distract the examiner and weaken the impression of accuracy.
That's really helpful. I'll focus on practicing these specific skills before my next submission.
That is the end of Part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 3. Part 4. You will hear a university lecture about the biological importance of body fat. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 35. Now listen and answer questions 31 to 35.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we'll tackle a subject often oversimplified: fat. Popular culture tells us fat is bad, but biology reveals a more nuanced story. Let's begin with its basic functions. Fat isn't just stored calories. In fact, without it, your body would struggle to survive. First, fat provides insulation, maintaining body temperature in cold environments. Second, it cushions delicate organs like the kidneys and heart, acting almost like built-in shock absorbers. And third, it's necessary for the body to utilize fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. Without dietary fat, these vitamins pass through undigested. Moving beyond the basics, not all fats are equal. The term fat covers triglycerides, cholesterol, and fatty acids. Some are structural components of cell membranes, making them indispensable. The brain itself is nearly 60% fat by composition, which helps explain why long-term low-fat diets can sometimes affect cognitive performance. But here's the complication. While fat is vital, excess in the bloodstream can be dangerous. When concentrations of LDL cholesterol rise, it begins depositing in arterial walls. Over time, this produces plaque, narrowing the vessels. The result? Elevated risk of cardiovascular events like stroke. The danger is not immediate pain. Unlike a cut, you don't feel arteries clogging. That's why doctors call it a silent threat. To illustrate, imagine two people eating similar amounts of fat. One remains healthy, the other develops high cholesterol. The difference often lies not in intake alone, but in genetic predisposition and lifestyle factors. For instance, sluggish habits combined with smoking amplify the harmful effects. Conversely, moderate exercise can raise HDL, the so-called good cholesterol, which helps remove LDL from arteries.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 36 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 36 to 40.
Now, let's address different kinds of fat. Modern nutrition makes sharp distinctions here. Trans fats, found in certain processed foods, are particularly harmful. Unfortunately, labeling can confuse consumers. A packet might claim low fat, yet still hide trans fats or excessive sugar. Modern medicine also warns against overcorrecting. Some patients cut fat drastically, thinking it's the safest approach. But extremely low fat intake can impair hormone production. Nuts and olive oil, for instance, are sources of unsaturated fats that the body uses in hormone synthesis. Doctors caution against cutting these out entirely, since reproductive and metabolic hormones depend on cholesterol as a building block. Interestingly, cultural attitudes toward fat differ. In medieval Europe, a fuller body was associated with wealth and strength, whereas today, thinness is idealized. These shifting values shape not only health trends, but also mental well-being. So, where does this leave us? Fat is neither hero nor villain. It's context-dependent. Too little, and the body malfunctions. Too much in circulation, and arteries harden. The takeaway is moderation, guided by awareness of both diet and lifestyle. Before we close, let me share a brief cultural example. In traditional Japanese cuisine, fish oils provided essential fats without leading to widespread heart disease. Contrast that with certain industrialized diets, where processed fats dominate. These comparisons show how cultural eating patterns, more than genetics, often determine long-term health outcomes. Finally, your next lecture won't be on nutrition, but will shift to a different health topic. We'll be covering sleep physiology and its role in immune defense.
That is the end of part 4.